We've got a big New York Rangers prospect injury update to take a look at here today involving Brennan Othmann, as well as we'll take a look at all the New York Rangers prospects that will be participating at this upcoming World Junior Championship in Ottawa that will begin on December 26th there on Thursday. So it's coming up pretty soon there, and the Rangers will have 3 prospects participating. So we'll take a look at those 3 prospects as well as take a look at the Brennan Othmann injury news. But starting off here with the prospects that will be participating at this upcoming World Juniors, there's 3 of them. First off here with Team USA, there's 2 of them returning as well. Both of them won gold with the team last, World Juniors there back in 2024 at that one there. Gabe Perreault and Fortescue. They both won gold there. They were big parts of that team. Gabe being, one of the top forwards, and Drew being a very important defenseman on that team. Both were key contributors to their team winning gold there, their country winning gold last World Junior. So they're obviously looking to possibly repeat there with quite a few other guys returning. I believe there's about 10 Team USA players returning from last year's tournament. I believe it's something like that. So obviously, those are 2 of the guys there, and they're going to have a really solid team. It's going to be kind of probably, possibly Canada, U.S., and kind of Sweden, more than likely kind of fighting for gold there. And Team USA with Gabe Perreault, Fortescue, 2 guys who are, both having pretty good seasons there. Gabe, once again, is tearing up college hockey. Fortescue is a really solid, more defensive kind of defenseman there, but can move the puck pretty good as well. Is a pretty good kind of puck-moving defenseman, but not necessarily the greatest offensively, although here and there definitely can have some pretty good offensive moments. And at last year's World Juniors also, put up some pretty good numbers there for a guy who doesn't normally put up a ton of points. He also ended up putting up 4 points in 7 games at last year's tournament there. So he's looking to have probably another pretty big tournament there. And then you have a guy like Gabe Perreault who ended up putting up some phenomenal numbers in last season's tournament, but now, being a year older, could possibly end up being kind of the tournament MVP or kind of the guy who leads the entire tournament in points as well. He's one of those kind of guys who definitely has a chance to do that. So keep an eye on him if you're going to, be watching the World Juniors, kind of checking on and stuff like that. Definitely keep an eye on Gabe Perreault because he's looking to possibly have a monster tournament, be one of the top players at this entire tournament, and be a key contributor to a potential gold medal winning Team USA squad. Last year's tournament had, 10 points, 3 goals, 7 assists in 7 games played. He very well could get, closer to like 18, 19, maybe even 20 points if he really does just kind of tear things up, which I would not be shocked if he did. I mean, he's obviously a guy who's a year older now. He's a little more experienced. He won gold at last year's tournament. He's got that experience under his belt now, and he's obviously just a more developed and better player. He's been doing really good so far with Boston College and is definitely a guy who, with some returning players on Team USA as well, will be surrounded by some great talent on their power play 1 unit there, playing on probably the top line with their squad. He definitely will be a lethal guy to see, hopefully put up some really crazy point totals possibly at this tournament. Then for a guy like Fortescue there, having 4 points in last year's tournament, hopefully he can kind of have another pretty good offensive performance, but just kind of play his game there. Be a good puck-moving defenseman, break that puck out and just be a kind of good, reliable guy, play the body a bit there, but just be a really good kind of sound defensive guy and kind of play his game there. And if he can do that, he can be a great contributor for the Team USA squad. And now for the schedule of Team USA, in case you're interested on watching these games and seeing, 2 of the New York Rangers kind of better prospects, especially Gabe Perreault, who is pretty much our top prospect right now with definitely the highest ceiling. So the first game for Team USA is on December 26th there against Team Germany, which is the first day of the whole entire tournament at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Then you've got there on December 28th against Latvia at 3:30. Then December 29th against Team Finland at 2:30. That will be a pretty good game, obviously. And then the final game of the kind of round robin play you have on December 31st. It's going to be a pretty great game there. Team USA against Team Canada, 2 of the top favorites to win this, whole entire gold medal, win the whole tournament here. So definitely should be a pretty great game, 8 p.m. there. So that'll be a very fun game to watch. So if you're going to watch any game into this whole entire tournament, I would definitely suggest watching that one because it's always a great rivalry game there and definitely should be a pretty close, tight, great fight there to obviously see who kind of wins that rivalry match. So Overall, I think it should be a pretty good tournament for Team USA, but to see who kind of comes out on top there in this group, it's going to probably come down to this final game there of Team USA versus Team Canada. And now for the third and final prospect of the New York Rangers that will be at the 2025 World Junior Championship, and that is Rico Gredig of Team Switzerland. He was drafted this past summer by the New York Rangers in the 6th round with pick number 191 overall as an overage prospect. So he is already 19 years old, turning 20 in February. So he will be one of the older kind of prospects at this tournament, which, should be a good thing there for Team Switzerland to have a guy like Rico who did play at last year's tournament for the Team Switzerland U20 squad there at the World Juniors the previous season back in 2022-2023 at that U18s. He ended up representing Team Switzerland as well, so he's been a guy who's represented them for quite a while now, even back at U16s, U18s, U19s, U20. So he's really represented Switzerland a lot. He's obviously a guy who has done a pretty good job at the youth level there in Switzerland as well, and is a guy who there's not a whole lot of kind of information and kind of, scouting reports and kind of what type of a player he is and all that kind of stuff on him, but he is a guy who is 19 years old and is still a teenager playing over there in Switzerland, which is one of the top pro leagues in the entire world just in general, right? After the KHL, the Russian league, it's pretty much the top league, you could argue, over even like Switzerland and Finland and those kind of leagues and the German league and all that kind of stuff there. So it's one of the top leagues. He's playing on one of the top teams in that league as well, HC Davos, who's always competing in the Champions League and all that kind of stuff over there in hockey. So one of the better teams in Europe normally for hockey, HC Davos. He's playing on their team there, and so far this season has 27 games played, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. Not doing too bad. I mean, it's not great, but for a 19-year-old, obviously not getting, a ton of ice time. So he's doing what he can in a limited kind of sample size there. But 4 points in 27 games played isn't too bad. Last season had 28 games played in the Swiss League, 4 points. So not the biggest jump, but, this season is kind of a +1 compared to last season where he was a -4. So I guess there's a positive there. But, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points, same thing as last season. And he did have 5 games played, 1 assist, 1 point at last year's U20 World Junior Championships for Team Switzerland. So hopefully he can have a bit better of a performance. And, Switzerland's always an interesting team to watch there. Sometimes they can kind of be a potential kind of team to upset someone. So, obviously watching them to, possibly upset a team, but also watching them to kind of see what we can kind of get out of a player like Rico Gredig, possibly kind of see the play style there. So I'll try and watch as much Team Switzerland as I can, because obviously I want to see Rico Gredig, because like I said, there's not really a ton of scouting reports or information kind of on him as a player. So I definitely want to see kind of more of this prospect, so I can, obviously let you all know more about this prospect as well. So carrying on though now, and kind of moving on to the Brennan Othmann injury news that we kind of have to talk about in today's video. So to begin this AHL season, we saw Brennan Othmann get off to a extremely good start. They're having 5 points, 2 goals, 3 assists, +2 in 3 games played there, but then unfortunately gets hurt very early on this season, obviously, has missed all that time up until now. And it does seem like, though, we have some good news, as there has been reports coming out that it does seem like he's expected to come and kind of get back into playing games possibly around at Christmas time, which I think is a really good sign for this Rangers team. Obviously, with that Kako trade, I don't love that trade happening and the return that we got necessarily, but the bright side to that is it possibly opening up a spot on that third line or somewhere on that right wing, spots on the NHL kind of squad, possibly for someone like Brennan Othmann. Now, I don't think he'd slot in right away at the NHL level, but, get him a couple games here and there, possibly a few games at the AHL level, and then maybe see him kind of take that step up like we saw Brett Berard kind of do this season so far. Brett's obviously put up some pretty good point totals there, scoring some goals, getting some assists there, putting up some points, looking pretty good and comfortable. So if we can see Brennan Othmann kind of get another taste of the NHL like he's kind of done obviously last season, but get more of a run this time around, and obviously get a little more playing time, play with some better players, and really get a good look, as with the way things are going here, it wouldn't be bad to kind of let some younger guys kind of play here and see what we have, in guys like obviously Brennan Othmann and Brett Berard, who are young prospects. Maybe at some point Victor Mancini comes back up. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what happens there. But it does seem like, Brennan Othmann's going to be coming back and getting some games actually back in very soon, which is a very good sign for him as a prospect. He's got to continue to develop there. He's still very young, still only 21 years old, does not turn 22 until January 5th. So hopefully he keeps getting better and does turn into a true kind of top six, maybe even top line kind of talent for this team, as we know we could definitely use some more kind of scoring help at 5-on-5. And, Brennan Othmann is a pretty good talent offensively. If that can kind of translate, to the NHL level, we could have a pretty good winger. Anyways, though, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, definitely hit that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content. I do post every single day. And also, definitely comment down below your thoughts on Brennan Othmann possibly returning somewhat in the very near future to the Hartford Wolfpack, getting some games and then possibly, getting the call up to kind of fill one of those right wing spots or maybe left wing spots. You never know. We'll see what happens there, but just kind of fit somewhere in that, possibly top 9 there. One of those kind of top 9 wing spots for the NHL squad there. And also, what are your thoughts on these 3 prospects? Rico Gredig playing for Switzerland. Then you've got 2 guys playing for Team USA, returning from the gold medal winning team last year's tournament in Drew Fortescue and Gabe Perreault. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next one, and let's go Rangers.